Hey, what's happening, my friends? It is Mr. Jonathan Budd, and I am here with the one and only Renee Airya. And this is actually an interesting interview because Renee is not only an exceptional example of somebody who is living the millennial path and doing what she loves and making waves and making a difference, but she's also my friend, like one of my really good friends. And so we're like, you know, how do we do this whole interview thing when we kind of just want to be playing around? And
so that's what makes it beautiful, because we get to combine the play with the work, and that's what it's all about.
This is going to be
I think that's what we all want to create, right?
Interview.
Yeah, we've already come up with a cartoon.
Yeah, we're going to do a children's show, all sorts of stuff. That's part of the millennial path, is getting all these ideas. The other path is knowing which ones you should do and not do.
And then implementing them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, Renee, we've got some amazing things to share with everybody here.
Yeah.
Just a quick recap, you know, this series, this interview series that we're doing is really profound. It's about bringing forth this new educational system to solve the lack of education that exists in the world today, for showing people how to truly step into a life that they're passionate about, that they love, and succeed wildly in business and succeed wildly financially doing what they love. Yeah. And we've isolated a few, well, there's actually 6 core components of that are our curriculum in the Futuristic Academy. And one of those components, you know, I really see you've really built such a skill around helping people to achieve. Yeah. And so I think that that'd be great for where we can go in this interview. And that component is really how people discover their unique idea, that unique thing, that passion that's yours to do, that thing that you love, that is where you're going to also make your living in the world. That's a powerful thing.
That is a powerful thing, and I think that it's kind of my word, I'm not going to say my word, but something that I like to use as a reference point is the special sauce. You know, I think that it's the special sauce, because, you know, most entrepreneurs out there, obviously, you know, that to create a wild, raving fan base, you have to have your unique selling propositions. You have to have those characteristics, that certain special language that makes you, you know, who you are. So to me, it's the special sauce, you know, discovering what you have, your unique blend that you can bring to the world that no one else can bring. That's what I think is the sexiest part in business. Yeah. And I'm sure that if you go through, you know, even in your mind with big businesses and small businesses, personality, brand entrepreneurs, there's something very specific that you can identify as, oh, that's that person's special sauce. That's something that I can relate to with that person that is emotional. And I have a lot of passion, obviously. I'm sure you can tell, and even me talking about it, I have a lot of passion for people bringing their unique abilities into the work that they do.
Let's go into that. I want to know how you found your special sauce.
That's a really good question. Okay, first of all, I believe that we have our innate, inherent kind of special sauce abilities, and I also think that they shift and change, you know, throughout life. So I'll just kind of talk about, for me, a little bit about my main story around my main unique ability. I was telling Jonathan earlier, because this is so fun, we're learning so much about each other through this interview process, that I've always, you know, like most entrepreneurs, I've always been a rebel, but I wanted to be a successful rebel, right? So I started working full time when I was 15, and I just had this very like outside of the box thinking mind. So by the time I was 16, I had actually proposed this unique plan to my high school, allowing me to work part day and then go to school part of the day. So I was able to buy my own car when I was 16. I was assistant managing a retail store, you know, as a teenager. And I just, I saw that I had a unique flair with working with people, you know, from a very young age, and that it also included creativity, I guess, wound into all of that. So, that being said, I think that most of us are rebels. And if you follow your rebelness, that can kind of lead you to something very interesting about yourself. So that's kind of a key point, number one. At any rate, I went from this journey of being in the corporate world to moving out to California when I was 20. And I was telling Jonathan that that was such a key integral point in my life because I discovered meditation. Thankfully, at a very young age, when I was 21, I got introduced to a meditation practice and discovered this word, intuition. And I was born in the Midwest, so, people weren't using words like intuition, in the Midwest in the 80s. So I discovered this word, intuition, and boom, everything just clicked. And I thought, okay, that makes sense. I have always kind of been in tune with knowing what's going to happen, seeing very clearly for other people, what is their truth. And it just, Jonathan, when I heard this word, something very deeply connected with my heart and with my soul. It was like a pinpoint of freedom emerged in me. And I share this because it's actually a double share. That's how the gift of intuition feels, when you're being tapped into your own intuition. And that's also how I knew that my career path had to have something to do with intuition. Now, for some people out there, they can be in tune with their intuition, obviously, but that doesn't mean that you're going to follow, a career path of intuition. It was just very obvious for me because I felt identified by it. I felt passionate about it. And it was like a freedom, access point for me. So that's what led me into the healing arts and doing full-time entrepreneur, healing arts practitioner at age 22. And then I just kind of, like one of the self-help junkies, I just, started getting certified in NLP and hypnosis and a variety of other things. But, for me, it was really like the special sauce of the intuition. And
interesting.
I use that, for a kind
That's
of...
how you found your special sauce, though. It just hit you.
Yes.
And you resonated to a certain concept. You resonated to a certain word, which for you was intuition. And I guess you just had to put yourself out there enough, expose yourself to enough new ideas, not coming from that background, not coming from any of that. You had enough courage to put yourself out there, expose yourself to enough new ideas, and one of them hit you. And when it hit you, you paid attention to how it felt in your body and just the sense that you had around it, and you were gravitated towards it. There was like this attractor factor, and that's how you knew. That's how you knew. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's totally accurate. Thank you. And I really appreciate your male sense in being able to kind of break down my female creativity into a system. Yes, that totally nails it. And the other fact that the deeper that I went into the process, the more things harmonized. It was like I would, read this book and then I would meet the next person in my path. And, I would connect with that person about something and then the next step would spring forward. So it was kind of like the gift that keeps on giving. And I think that is a little bit how the special sauce works. There's an underlying gift that keeps on giving. And I don't say this to mean that, listen, a lot of my messaging, is really around this acceptance of being human. That yes, we co-create our reality. And yes, be optimistic and use our willpower to create and bring amazing things into our life. And also there's going to be some challenges that come up, absolutely. And I don't believe in the philosophy of because something is very challenging, that means that it's not the right path. I don't think it's completely realistic to have everything 100% grace, ease, like easy peasy.
Totally.
It happens sometimes. It's a cycle.
I
It
know
can happen sometimes.
And with you in particular, you faced some really big challenges. Do you want to share maybe a little bit about, your background and what you had to overcome to really step into living your dream now?
Definitely. I just for the folks out there that don't already know me, I'm in my second phase of rebirthing, almost. It's like I kind of had a real huge career hotspot in my early 20s. And then I did really well and just kind of, rode things out. But I'm going to be 40 this year. So I'm like kind of a late bloomer into this next, iteration of success. And my success now is directly connected to 3 near-death experiences that I went through from age 23 to age 33. So whereas I think that most people in that age range are really out about in the world, building their resume, making all these human contact connections, I was in a place where I was literally saving my life. I had massive brain surgery in 2004. And when I woke up from the brain surgery, it was less than a 1% chance, but my face was 100% paralyzed on one side, which was a very interesting experience that's completely devastating, for anyone to go through. And I had also been a part-time professional model. So, this was a huge thing for me to wake up, with a paralyzed face and have 0% medical opportunity of recovery. Yeah. Luckily, and this is kind of how everything ties in, luckily I had been exposed already to my special sauce of using intuition to be able to heal and transform. So I really called upon, the principles of self-healing and self-transformation and, kind of for lack of a better label, a lot of the law of attraction, like really, what am I creating? And I just need to, vision it into my life. So, by the grace of whatever powers that be, within a year, I actually grew my facial nerve back together and rehabilitated my face by, 60%. So now, 10 years later, this just goes to say, folks, like, do not give up. Do not give up, because this is 10 years later. I found and created my power story. And, my power story, it's a talk that I deliver now called Flip Your Flaws. And it draws on all the experiences that I went through in brain surgery and also kind of weaving together, other hero journey lessons in my life. But it's been huge for me and huge for my business. I took a really meaty social media following that I had always just word of mouth marketing. For me, my whole business for the last 10 years was self-generated, with no other marketing other than just my personality brand. And when I kicked in, discovering my story and speaking on large stages, it's been absolutely huge for my business. So I was able to take this tragedy and 10 years later, even turn it into a major triumph. So I'm very hopeful for everyone out there.
This is fantastic fodder for us to get into in the academy training, because I'd love to hear what you did from a business perspective, because I know that there was a few really specific tweaks that you made to your business model that just completely sort of exploded the success you've had in the last year and a half. And let's get into that in the academy section for all of our members. But, to sort of finish off this part that we're sharing with everybody here, you've already shared so much, number one, about really finding your special sauce as the way to identify that niche, that thing that you're meant to do. That's your gift. That's kind of where you're going to build a business you really love. And then the journey of intuition for you and connecting into the challenges of having a brain surgery that you wake up from paralyzed, on one side of your face, which totally, really changed your entire life, took away your career, took away all the things that you were doing. Like, you 100% had to flip and change. And so obviously I don't think all of us, have circumstances like that we have to overcome. And everybody has circumstances that they have to overcome. Everybody has some element. There's circumstance that's going to get in your way, and you have to overcome it.
Yeah.
What is your way? What's been your number one way that you have overcome the circumstances that have been in your life that have allowed you to continue moving forward on a path that's aligned with your heart and your dream for yourself?
I have such a simple answer to that, which contains an entire other life, which is silence. And like, that is the truth, my friend. Like, it is the silence. This is why it goes, back to just being so grateful in my early life. What you were saying was stepping out of the box and doing something new. Meditation and the practice and the consistency with meditation is my number one go-to system. The ability
For
to
how you move past circumstances.
Exactly, because there is so much to get caught up in with all of the information that is in the outside world, which is also beautiful. I mean, it's, I couldn't move forward, in my own life without various positive informations and, people, places, and things coming into my life, right? Because you have to have the outside external support systems for what it is that you find, internally. I just think that even though we know this, so many people know this, like you hear journal, spend time alone. Even if you go on a walk, by yourself, it doesn't have to be this act of, physically like sitting in silence, making a mantra, it doesn't have to be those things, but it is your way of being with yourself. Because inevitably, I just want to share this really quick before we go, because I hear this, from a lot of my clients and, people who send me messages on social media saying, I don't think I know myself, and I don't think that I can hear myself. Is that only something that certain people can do? And no, we all have it, but we have a fear of trusting what comes to us. We have a fear of, I think, ultimately embracing our truth and embracing our power. So it's kind of a, it's like a two-step process. Having consistency with your journaling, with the spending time with yourself, learning your own language, and then from there, having the faith and the courage to just take simple steps with following some of the guidance that you're telling yourself. You don't have to go crazy and completely 100%, shift up your life, but it's like taking the little simple steps.
That's huge.
Is that helpful? Did I articulate that in a way you can understand?
Absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
the big thing I got was connecting to yourself.
Yeah.
How important it is to just connect to yourself, almost as if, when you really do take the time, whether it's a walk in nature, whether it's time for yourself, whether it's meditation, whatever the way is that you just sort of connect to you, to your soul, to your essence, to your source, whatever you want to call it, that's where we get the strength to succeed despite circumstances,
Right.
to be empowered despite circumstances. And I think that's
because you have to have
amazing.
you have to have something, and that something is going to be the very thing that you are in the last moments before you close your eyes and leave this planet. You can discover that something right now. It doesn't have to wait until then, and the closer you can get to living in congruence with that, and from that place daily, I think for me anyways, that equals freedom. Then you're not defined by anything from the outside.
That's huge. I'd love to learn more about your business model.
Yeah.
So, sort of how we've broken down this new millennial path is that there's the ideation phase where you get clear on your idea. There's the niche phase where you actually, determine who your audience is and how you specifically speak to that niche, to that audience. There's the web presence creating phase where you actually create your presence. That's your blog, your assets, or whatever. The audience building, the product creation, and the conversion.
Yeah.
So from a business model standpoint, how do you build your audience?
I am so unique, my friend.